Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel, Orcs Magic, and it's Jordan here. And today's Deck Tech Tuesday, we have a very special deck tech in which we are doing a Commander deck tech. And as we are upon the hours of devastation themselves, I have decided that we are going to do a Commander based upon one of the new gods. The new god I have chosen is the Locust God. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So to begin with, the Locust God himself. He is a 6-mana commander. He has flying, and he's a 4/4, and he has the ability that whenever we draw a card, we get to create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature with flying and haste, which is very important. So this allows us to have large card draw engines, which in turn allows us to get lots of tokens onto the field, and in which case we can then swing for large amounts of chunks of damage or create large blockers to deal with the board state as we go. So he also has an ability to pay 2 and then is it, in which you get draw a card and discard a card. And he also, with the new gods that are in the House of Degradation set, whenever he dies, you get to return to your owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step, which means that we can cast him from hand for the cheaper cost rather than when we are casting him from the command zone. So without further ado, I looked into it and I thought, well, to make this strategy work quite well, I thought, well, why doesn't he get a bit more help with some of the older gods? So to begin with, we have Kefnet the Mindful. 3-mana god. He has flying and indestructible, and he can't attack or block unless we have 7 or more cards in hand. And he has the ability to pay 3 and a blue. We get to draw a card, and then we may return a land we control to our hand. Now the benefit with this is that of course he can turn himself on. With our synergies that we have in the deck, he can do quite a lot quite nicely, and we get a lot of very good interactions with him on the board. We then have Thasa, God of the Sea. So this is from the Theros block for 2 and a blue, indestructible. It's an enchantment creature, and as long as our devotion is less than 5, Thasa is not a creature but a standard enchantment, and at the beginning of our upkeep we get to scry one, and it's a 5/5 creature. It also can make one creature unblockable for the turn, which is rather sweet, getting some nice commander damage if possible. We then have Purporos, God of the Forge. Now he's a 4-drop god, indestructible also, and isn't turned on unless our devotion is less than 5. The benefit with him is that every time a creature enters the battlefield, i.e. the insect tokens, it will deal 2 damage to each opponent. Now the massive benefit with this is that you can do a lot of damage with him from some of our big card draw spells, which could possibly deal 10 damage per opponent, if not more, depending on sort of the amount that we've cast for. So he's rather sweet. We then have another god, which is Keranos, a god of storms. For 3 and is it? He's indestructible, and he's not turned on unless his devotion is 7 or more. And basically we get to reveal the first card on each of our turns, on each draw, of our turn. And whenever we reveal a land card, we get to draw an extra card, which means effectively we're getting 2 insects, which is 4 damage with Purporos. Or if we reveal a non-land card, we then get to deal 3 damage via a lightning bolt effect, so to either a creature or a player. And he's a 6/5, so he's a big beater on the ground as well, which is rather sweet. So I've discussed a lot about the card draw synergies and card draw engines in this, and we have quite a few things. So the first thing we are going to take advantage of is Alhammaret's Archive. It's a 5-mana legendary artifact, and if you gain life, we gain twice as much life instead, which is relevant for one of our other synergies. And if we would draw a card except the first one and draw each turn, we get to draw 2 cards instead. So this can help trigger nicely and go along with a lot of other synergies that we do use in the deck, which is very good. So we get more insects, more damage, and so on and so forth. We then run Arcanis the Omnipitent and Niv-Mizzet the Firemind. Benefit with these two that in tandem, Arcanis can help us draw 3 cards by tapping him, and he can also bounce himself without having to tap, which is very sweet. We then also have Niv-Mizzet, that basically anytime we draw a card, we deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and you can tap him to draw a card as well, which is also very sweet and useful. To make some of our spells a bit cheaper, and so for extra card draw effect, we are using Baral, Chief of Compliance, and Goblin Electromancer. Benefit with these two is that they both make instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast, and if Baral's on the field and we counter using an ability or a spell, we get to also draw a card and then discard a card also, which is also highly useful because this will also create another insect. Going on to another part of the card draw strategy, one of the infinite combos that you can go off with this deck is using Skull Clamp. Now, by attaching Skull Clamp to an insect token, it will cause it to die, and by it dying we have to draw 2 cards, which means then we get 2 insects. You attach Skull Clamp again, you can then go off and cause lots more damage. So effectively it's an infinite combo late step if you can generate enough mana to do it, but if you have this and Purporos on the board, you are going to do a large amount of damage to your opponents. It is very sweet, very good, and can also get you more and more hasty insect tokens out of the deal. Another part of the draw engine, we are running Dictate of Crucifix and Howling Mine. Now, the Dictate has Flash, and at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. And Howling Mine, at the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card. Now, the benefit with this is that, of course, we're going to draw extra cards, but this is also going to help our opponents draw extra cards. But depending, obviously, on the strategies they're running, they may not have a maximum hand. They may have a maximum hand size, they may not, but it can help sort of draw them out quite nicely and deal more damage as you go. We also have Arjunn the Shifting Flame. This 6 mana creature is Sphinx and a wizard, and the wizard can be quite relevant to some of the creature types with some of the other creature synergies in the deck. He's a 5/5 that's a flyer, but the benefit we get is that whenever we cast a spell, we put the cards in our hand on the bottom of our library in any order, and then we draw that many cards. Now, bear in mind that we're going to have very large hand sizes in Commander. This could generate easily, probably minimum of 10 tokens in one hit, possibly even more. And because they're hasty, you can do a lot of damage with it, which is really sweet. Moving on, we then have Sphinx's Tutelage. Now, the benefit with this is whenever we draw a card, the target opponent puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into the graveyard, and if they're both non-land cards that share a colour, you get to repeat the process, and you can then pay 6 to draw a card and then discard a card. Now, with the amount of card draw that we have going on in this deck, this can be quite devastating. The benefit is, the one downside of this card is that it only hits one opponent at one time, but depending on sort of strategies going on around the table, you can target the player who's going to have the most annoying deck against you, maybe another counters deck, various things like that. Now, because we talked about a large card draw synergy within our deck, we do have ways to get things out of the graveyard and shuffle things back into the library with various spells. But one more other win condition we do have is using Laboratory Maniac. Now, Laboratory Maniac has the ability that if we would draw a card while our library has no cards in it, we win the game. This is sort of a random fringe win condition. I doubt it'll ever make really massive appearances, but it's always safe to have a little assurance for late game, you know, when you are struggling. Moving on and discussing how we have no maximum hand size in the deck is, beginning off, we have Venser's Journal. It's a 5 mana artifact that allows us to have no maximum hand size, and the benefit is at the beginning of our upkeep we gain 1 life for each card in our hand. Now, as you can imagine, we can get quite a large amount of card draw, so we can do quite a lot of life on the beginning of the upkeep. This will obviously make you a bit of a target, but that's okay. This is Commander where everyone's a target. We then have Fort Vessel also, which is a 2 mana version with no maximum hand size, but it also acts as a mana rock, which can help accelerate some of our spells. And finally, we have Reliquary Tower, which is a land that gives us no maximum hand size, and we get to tap to add colours to our mana pool. Moving on to the land-based style synergies, we have pretty much the standard versions of, you know, with Scalding Tarns, Cascade Bluffs. We are running Halimar Depths as well, which allows us to get some scry action going and can set us up quite nicely for a few turns. We also have Is It Boilerworks, Steam Vents, and one land in particular that I do like the look of because of the amount of scry that we do have going on in the deck is Niv-Mizzet of the Firemind. The benefit with this is that you have the ability to pay some mana and cast exile the top card of a library, and if it's a non-land card we get to cast it for free. This, with a great little combination of mine, is with Enter the Infinite, which allows us to draw our entire deck. and allows us to gain, well, in excess of enough tokens to swing for lethal probably all over the board, and probably just put deck Laboratory Maniac back just for the wins, and sweet. And that's pretty much it for our first ever Commander deck tech for the series. Please let me know what you think of the deck below. Let me know what changes you would do to the deck, and the deck list you can find in the description box below. I would like to thank personally MTG Spotlight for giving me the inspiration of how to do Commander deck techs. I've been wanting to do them for a long time, pal, and I finally discovered how you do them, and I was really inspired the way that you've done them, and I want to say a big shout out to you, man. You're an absolute legend. So this is the Locust Gods army done by Orcs of Magic. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye. Thank you for watching the video. Please remember to hit that like button, it supports the channel for free. Also subscribe, and remember, if you don't want to miss any videos, hit the bell icon right next to the subscribe button. Thank you for watching again. Goodbye.